Hello everyone, I am Ambika Gupta here to deliberate about operating systems. So today you are going to learn one of the important topic of operating system, that is process state transitions. Before moving on this topic, we need to go through some prerequisites such as introduction of a process, process concept, types of processes, process control block, multiprogramming, scheduler, types of scheduler, and finally 5-state process transition diagram, and the enhanced version of this is 7-state process transition diagram. See, what is the process? A process is basically a program in execution. The execution of a process must proceed sequentially, means one after the another. We just undergo what is the basic concept for the process. Any computer program, when in execution, it becomes a process which performs all the tasks in that program. Or we can say, when a program is loaded into the memory and it becomes a process, it can be divided into 4 sections: stack, heap, text, and data. We can clearly visualize stack, heap, text, and data with this picture. And we can understand the basic concept of stack in detail. Stack contains the temporary data such as method, function parameters, it return address, and local variables. It basically depends on static memory allocation, which means allocation is done when the program compiles. Now understand the concept of heap. This is dynamically allocated memory to a process during its runtime. For example, we can directly declare dynamic memory allocation via calloc, malloc, realloc for memory allocation. The next is data, which simply contains various global and static variables. For example, we just use like integer I while we are writing any kind of program. The next is text. It is used to represent the current activity by the program counter. Also, we can say it is a code segment. Generally, there are 2 types of processes. One is CPU bound process. If the process is intensive in terms of CPU operations, then it is called CPU bound process, which simply means the process consumes more time on CPU instead of using IO. The another one is IO bound process. If the process is intensive in terms of IO operations, then it is called IO bound process, which means the process consumes more time on IO instead of using CPU. Now understand what is the process control block. There is a concept of process control block which keeps all the information needed to keep track of a process, such as the process ID. It is a unique identification number for each of the process in the operating system. The next is process state. The current state of a process, that is, whether the process is in ready state, running state, or waiting state, etc. We will understand the process state concept in detail later on. The next is pointer. As we have already know the concept of pointer, which points the parent process. The next is priority. The process having high priority executes first. The next is program counter. It is again a pointer to the address of the next instruction to be executed. The next is CPU registers. Various CPU registers where process need to be stored for execution for running state. The next is I/O information, which includes a list of input-output devices allocated to the process. The next is accounting information. It includes the amount of CPU used for process execution, time limits, etc. There are various other information which contains memory management, memory limit, etc. With the help of this complete picture, we can understand the basic concept of process control block and how this block keeps entire information about process. Now understand the basic concept of multiprogramming. Multiprogramming concept have two important terms. One is preemption. Preemption states the process is forcefully removed from CPU. It is also called as time sharing or multitasking. The next is non-preemption, where processes are not removed until they complete the execution. Now come to the next, that is scheduler. Scheduler is what? It is a type of system software that allows you to handle process scheduling, which simply means the scheduler decides which particular process will execute first. So there are various types of schedulers to schedule the different processes. The one is long-term scheduler, which decides how many processes made to stay in the ready state just to improve the overall system performance. The second is short-term scheduler, which will decide which process to be executed next, and it will also call dispatcher, that moves processes from ready to run or running to ready state. So it will manage the context switching time. The third one is medium term scheduler, which is used for swapping, that is moving the process from main memory to secondary memory and secondary memory to main memory, and we will understand the basic application of these schedulers in the 7-state process transition diagram. Now just understand the basic concept of process life cycle. When a process executes, it passes through various states. In general, a process can have one of the following 5 states at a time. That's why this kind of diagram is known as 5-state transition diagram, in which there is a start state, which is an initial state when a process is about to create. It is available in the secondary memory that will be picked up by operating system to create the process. The next state is ready state. After creation of a process, the process must enter to the ready state, that is, the process is loaded into the main memory. With the help of short-term scheduler, or we can say dispatcher, the process undergoes ready to running state. The process is chosen by the CPU for execution, and the instructions within the process are executed. If everything goes fine and smooth, then the process finishes or completed its execution and it is terminated by the operating system. So if there is a question that how many minimum states are required to execute any process, then the answer can be there are 4 minimum states required to execute any process, but generally it does not happen because process moves into the waiting state, or we can say block state, if it needs to wait for a resource, that is input output resource. So we can say after putting the IO request, the process must undergoes to the wait state, or we can say block state, until the file, until the user input, until any kind of input output resource is available, then it is in waiting state. If the IO resource is available, then it can again undergoes to the ready state. It means IO resource request completed here. Meanwhile, if there is any interrupt arises by the scheduler on the basis of high priority process, or we can say any time quantum, then again it will move to the ready state. Simply we can understand here the short term scheduler works from ready to running state, running to ready state, ready to running state, etc. Now just come to the process state transition diagram, that is here the 7 states. Apart from the basic process life cycle, there are 7 states in which 2 more states have been added. We will discuss 2 more states, but before discussing 2 more states, again we are revising the 5 basic states. There is a start state, which is an initial state. Here the process will be created, goes to the ready state. With the help of short term scheduler, it will go to the running state. After completion of the execution, it will go to the terminated state. If any IO resource required, it will go to the waiting state. IO resource requirement finishes, then it will go to the ready state. If any interrupt arises, it will go to the running to the ready state. Likewise, there are 2 more states which are, one is suspended ready state. If initially the process is in ready state but were swept out of the main memory and placed onto external storage by scheduler, then the state is known as suspended ready state. If after a while there is a space availability in the primary memory, then the process must brought back from suspended ready to the main ready state. There is another state, that is suspended wait or block. Similar to the suspended ready state, if a process is performing IO operation and there is no availability of IO resource, the process can be swept out of the main memory, placed onto the external storage by scheduler, and the state is known as suspended wait or block state. If there is availability of IO resource, then again it will brought back from suspended wait to the wait state. If process completed IO but still there is no space available into the ready state, then still the process has to wait in the suspended ready state. This is all about the transitions across states for a process in computer system. The additional states like suspended ready and suspended wait, the functionality of these states must undergoes through medium term scheduler. Means medium term scheduler basically responsible for swap in and swap out process. This presentation is not limited to the class lecture. If you have any query, you can ask in the comment box. I will answer your questions. Thank you.